Hey, it's Onesto, and I always want to get into effects pedals, but there are two big reasons that hold me back. The first is that pedal boards, they can be very expensive. I'll admit that's a pretty boring reason, but the second reason is that whenever I play or write music, it's almost always at the steps behind me in my DAW. I might perform out of the studio a few times a year, so it never really feels worth it to build out a pedal board as fun as it sounds. But I think I finally found a pedal that addresses these issues. This is a Stratus from Chaos Audio. With this one pedal, I can take my favorite effects chains that I built in my DAW, and I can take them wherever I go and apply them to any keyboard, guitar, or synth like my Osmos. Yeah, that's really cool. But I think the most exciting part is that there's now this integration between the studio and the stage that is just so fun and efficient. Before I show you how it all works, I wanted to mention that Chaos Audio, they're sponsoring this video. But when I first heard about the Chaos Audio ecosystem, I really wanted to get my hands on it. And now that I've tried it, I am so excited to share with you all my thoughts, the good and the bad, the ugly, all about this product. So in this small ecosystem, you have the Stratus pedal, which pairs with the Chaos Audio app, which downloads effects from the Tone Shop. These Tone Shop effects you can also use inside your DAW as plugins. I'll show you that later, but all these three components, they work together. Let's first look at the pedal, which as far as pedals goes, doesn't look much different than a single analog pedal. You can power it up with a typical 9-volt power supply or a USB-C cable. There's a mono in and out jack, a foot switch, and a multi-knob that you can rotate or press in. And there's this LED strip up top that helps you control the pedal. When it comes to the build quality, it feels great. According to Chaos Audio, this pedal is made of solid aerospace aluminum, so it's not cheap at all. If you want to have fun with Stratus, you'll need to pair it with the Chaos Audio app that's available for iOS and Android. Once connected, you can tap the Tone Shop tab. If you buy Stratus, you'll get access to 17 pedals like Asteroid, a heavy metal distortion. Then all you have to do is tap Get to download it. Now I'll go to my pedal board tab, load it up, and start playing. Right now, there are around 40 available effects. However, the Tone Shop is always growing. For example, amps using AIDA AI modeling tech is coming out within the next week or so. But right now, there's around 40 effects. You'll notice that the single effects are designed to look and operate like analog effect pedals, which is great for keeping things simple and familiar. And so far, I think they sound pretty great. I've been really into Galileo, a modulated reverb designed to give pads, swells, and leads lots of depth. There's also Luna, an analog chorus inspired by Julia from Walrus Audio. And I think my favorite right now is Dark Matter, made by Manic Effects. They call it a space-time warper that's inspired by the black hole from Eventide. As you browse each effect, you'll see who developed the effect, a short description of what the effect does, concise explanations of the controls, what pedal the effect is inspired by, which I think is really helpful to know. And then you have the CPU usage, which can be limiting, but I'll talk about that later. And there are 3 modes to play with. The one I use the most is live mode. In live mode, you can tap the foot switch to toggle specific effects on and off. And when you turn the multi-knob, you can select a different effect. Then there's preset mode, which lets you switch between different effect chains. Right now, we're on preset 1. Then if we hit the foot switch, we'll toggle to the preset 2. Now we're on preset 3. And hit the foot switch again, then we're at preset 4. And so on. And lastly, there's looper mode. To trigger that, just press the multi-knob once and Stratus will begin to record, indicated by the red LED here. Then to begin playback, press the multi-knob a second time, the LED will turn green. To begin overdubbing, press the knob again, and the lights will flash yellow to indicate that. Then hit the knob again to go back to playback. You can also pause your loop by double tapping the multi-knob, and a single tap resumes playback. The looper can do up to 5 minutes of recording and unlimited dubs. Then to clear your loop, press and hold the multi-knob for 3 seconds. It was so fun to play around with Stratus for this video. I cannot wait to use it at my next gig, whenever that is. But for the times that I am in my studio, I can also use all these tone shop effects as plugins in my DAW. The effects work just like any other plugin, and you don't need to own a Stratus pedal or the Chaos Audio app to use the plugins. Just download, install, and start building out effect chains in your DAW. For example, here's a few that I built out for some of my virtual instruments. I love this heavy reverb I made for guitar. And here's this moody reverb delay that's perfect for Wurlitzers. And then here's a super fuzzy chorus I made for bass. And what's really cool is that these are the exact same effects that I can use with Stratus. So the same effects under the same purchase, they will be available to me inside and outside the studio. All right, I said a lot of great things about Stratus, but there is still room for improvement. So let's start with the plugins since we just covered it. One important thing that's missing for now is the ability to sync effects chains between the plugins and Chaos Audio app. Right now, let's say I built out a really cool effect chain in my DAW. I would have to rebuild it in the app piece by piece and then save it, which is totally fine. It still works, but it's definitely a few extra steps. So the experience between plugin and hardware can feel like two separate processes rather than a single one. But if this syncing gets figured out, then the software-hardware integration will make this great product even better. Importing presets is another pain point. So this pedal comes with 17 effects, but there are no presets. So you have to build them or import them yourself. Building them and saving them, that's super easy to do. But to import them, that's where it gets a bit cumbersome. You pretty much need to put a preset file in your Google Drive, and then you gotta import that through the Chaos Audio app, through Google Drive. It works fine, but it just feels like a couple extra steps. And when it comes to the hardware itself, one thing I found challenging is that each effect takes up CPU. And you can tell how much in the plugin description right here. Most effects, they are super light, so that's not a problem. But then there are other effects that are pretty heavy. There was even a case where I could only use 3 effects because the daily driver effect was just hogging up a lot of the CPU. So as more robust effects are released, I think this will need to be addressed by making the effects more efficient or offering a pedal with a beefier CPU. Of course, that can raise the cost, but I actually think some Stratus users will benefit from it. But overall, the world that Chaos Audio has built is really impressive, especially with how new and small the company is. I think it's perfect for anyone new to effect pedals and plugins, or for someone who wants to explore a lot of effects on a budget. This is really the beginning for Stratus and the Tone Shop, and I'm really excited to see how they develop as a company. If you have any thoughts or questions, please hit me up in the comments. Thanks for watching. Later.